ahead in prayer. Almighty and eternal supreme being, the light of all lights, the creator of the universe, we give you thanks and sing your praise alone, for you are guide and protector. Supreme being, please continue to bestow upon us your mercies and compassion, that we shall be pleased and be pleased with all in the city of San Fernando, that we shall glorify your name to the world through our examples. Almighty being, may your light shine upon this city and our country. Keep us away from all forms of darkness, and we shall always acknowledge your greatness. For without your presence, nothing will be achieved. Amen.
Amen.
Inspector of Police attached to the San Fernando Municipal Police Station. Please take note that there are 2 points of egress to this consultation. One being on my left, which is the door we all used to enter. The other on my right, which is the fire escape. God forbid that there is any reason for us to evacuate this consultation, we shall do so in an orderly fashion. I proceeded to any one of the points of egress, preferably the one nearest to you and most convenient to you. You will then exit this building and gather the muster point, which is located at Harris Promenade, the vicinity of the bandstand, where a head count will be executed to ensure that everyone is accomplished.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. This meeting is hereby called to order of the 19th statutory meeting of the 10th San Fernando City Corporation held on Wednesday, the 25th of July 2018. It's called to order corrections omission.
Your Worship, members of administration, I see that I have been excluded from the list of people attending to this meeting. But later on in the meeting, I move motions.
So can we have this corrected, please? Page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Can I have confirmation, please?
Your Worship, members of council, I move for the acceptance of the minutes of the 19th statutory meeting of the 10th San Fernando City Council held on Wednesday, 25th of July, 2018.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of council, members of administration, Springville Paradise House Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Matters arising from the minutes, page 1, page 2. Page 3. For we on to the 12.1, the Curbside Recycling Initiative. Could the Public Health give us an update report on this initiative?
Good morning, Your Worship, members of council, Deputy CEO, members of admin. The Public Health Department is glad to report that since the launch of the curbside recycling on the 23rd of July, we have collected thus far, up to last week, in collaboration with our numbers and those of Swim Call, 88 bags within the designated areas of Gulfview and Embarked combined.
Thank you, members. Any question? I know that 2 areas have been designated for this initiative. Gulfview area, Councillor, you have any concern?
Morning, Your Worship, CEO, members of council, members of administration. The only concern we have is the regularization. Sometimes they do miss, and when they miss, the garbage truck itself would take up the material designated to be recycled. So the program is going good, it's just to ensure regular pickups. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Springville Paradise.
Your Worship, members of council, members of administration. The initiative started slowly in embarked, but it's picking up steam. More and more people are now buying into the idea of recycling, and with the continual marketing of this initiative, it will be successful.
I think a major challenge will be the culture change.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. 12.2 infrastructural maintenance work is mentioned here that we commended TNTech for the work done on Harris on Library Corner over a period of time. I want to ask the Curbside to send a letter to TNTech for the efficiency and the alacrity in which they respond to our requests. And TNTech is turning out to be an outstanding agency. We do get quick response from them, and we want to continue the relationship and commend them for the service that they have been providing the city. We move to page 6. Page 7. Members, it was a light moment when we awarded Tommy Joseph at the last meeting. Tommy really brought a different feel to the meeting with his humor, and a lot of people were not aware that Tommy actually lives in San Fernando in the community of embarked. So I know he wasn't here for the actual function, but I mean that was really a moment for us, as well as the 12.8 where David Michael Rother was here and hosted by the council and given the citation as an honorary citizen. Let me just get the opportunity to talk about the concert and its success. And the gross collection so far is a little over $140,000. And yes, it will yield profit. But we left no stone unturned. The event was a priceless event in terms of the joy and entertainment that was brought to San Fernandians, and those who attended the function are still calling and giving kudos to the council for this kind of unique initiative. And we are being asked to do more concerts. One person said a responsibility of the corporation is not only about physical infrastructure and sanitation and public health, but also to bring joy and happiness and entertainment to the citizens. So we may have to add a committee for promotion of events. But Ms. Lalji of the Prophet is coming in as the last one was. No comment, Ms. Lalji? No comment. You know, if it wasn't successful, you know, we'd have seen a different side of Ms. Lalji this morning, so we continue. Ms. Lalji attended the concert? But you heard about it though. Good, positive. So we move to page 8. Announcements.
Your Worship, Deputy CEO, members of council, Manrico Navet recognizes the passing of the following persons. Ms. Susan Joy Kangaloo, she was the wife of a well-known veterinarian of Mutulands, Vistabella. She died on the 12th of August. She collapsed on the Paradise Lawn Tennis Court.
And her last event was at City Hall for the President's visit.
Yeah. Okay, the other person, one second. Is a relative of our own public health inspector. Sorry, PHI sorry, her grandfather died in Barbados. I'm not sure of all the details, but I know that she went on to her passing, so our condolences from the council. And we also have the passing of Mrs. Pam Persad. She was born on the 21st of May 1940 and she passed on the 18th of August 2018. She was the co-founder of Lennox Petroleum Services Limited. And the other person is Mr. Stephen Pope. He was born on the 15th of January 1951. He passed on the 11th of August 2018. He lived on Sapero Street, Gooden Village, San Fernando. He was a musician and also a proprietor. He died violently. And those are the obituaries that we have before us. Thank you.
Stand for a minute of silence, please. The souls of the faithful departed rest in peace and arise in the glory of heaven. Amen. Committee reports for acceptance, finance, planning and allocation of resources.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of council, members of administration, I rise and ask for the acceptance of the Finance, Planning and Allocation of Resources Committee meetings held on the 27th of June, 3rd of July, 10th of July, and 25th of July 2018.
Your Worship, members of council, Deputy CEO, members of administration, laissez for Sapero rises to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Public health.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of council, Marvelous Augustabella rise to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Physical infrastructure and transport.
Present day, Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of council, members of administration, I rise for the acceptance of the report for physical infrastructure and transport committee meeting held on the 10th of July 2018.
Your Worship, CEO, members of administration, members of council, laissez-faire West and remain rise to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Personnel.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of council, Manipur Navet, rise to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Committee reports for adoption, planning and development.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of council, members of administration, Marabella East is pleased to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. General purposes.
Sorry.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of council, rise for the adoption of the General Purposes Committee report meeting held on the 10th of July 2018.
Your Worship, members of Council, Deputy CEO, members of Administration, laissez for Isipero rises to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Parks and institutions.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of Council, Marabella South Vistabella rise for the adoption of the Parks and Institution Committee meeting held on the 10th of July 2018.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of Council, I beg to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Education and Youth Development.
Your Worship, members of Council, Deputy CEO, members of Administration, I rise for the adoption of the Education and Youth Development Committee report of the meeting held on the 10th of July 2018.
Seconder, please. All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Culture and the Arts.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of Council, members of Administration, I rise and ask for the adoption of the Culture and Arts Committee meeting held on the 3rd of July 2018.
Seconder, please.
Your Worship, members of Council, Madam Deputy CEO, Koke Turuba rise to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Public claims and liabilities. All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Sports and Social Services.
Your Worship, Deputy CEO, members of Council, Monipo Navet rise for the adoption of the report of the Sports and Social Services Committee meeting held on the 3rd of July 2018.
Seconder, please.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of Council, members of Administration, leisure for West Larmin, rise to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Security and Disaster.
Your Worship, members of Council, Madam CEO, Koke Turuba rise for the adoption of the Security and Disaster Committee report meeting held on the 3rd of July.
All in favor? Seconder? All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Tourism and Heritage. Second, please.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of Council, members of Administration, leisure for West Larmin rises to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Of assessment.
Your Worship, members of Council, Madam Deputy CEO, members of Administration, Springvale Paradise rises for the adoption of the Assessment Committee meeting held on the 3rd of July 2018.
Your Worship, Madam Deputy CEO, members of Council, members of Administration, Marabella East is pleased to second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstention? The motion is carried. Madam Deputy CEO, do we have any petitions?
Your Worship, members of Council, members of Administration, there are no petitions.
Madam Deputy CEO, do we have any motions?
There's none, Your Worship.
Madam Deputy CEO, do we have any personal explanations?
No personal explanations, Your Worship.
Madam Deputy CEO, is there any other urgent matters?
There's no other urgent matters at this time, Your Worship.
Members, are there any urgent matters?
Your Worship, members of Council, Deputy CEO, members of Administration, I rise today to bring greetings, perhaps a day belatedly, but still of importance, on behalf of His Worship and the Council, to the Islamic community, our Muslim brothers and sisters, on the occasion of the celebration of Eid al-Adha, or Bakr Eid as it's known here in Trinidad and Tobago. Eid al-Adha is perhaps the more important of the two Eids that are celebrated, and it has its roots in the story of Abraham in the Bible, or in the Islamic world, Ibrahim as it is pronounced, when God came to him in a dream and asked him to sacrifice his only son Isaac, or Isaac as we know in the English-speaking world. And at the very last minute, God came to him and said, I will not ask you to sacrifice your son, after all, Abraham, or Ibrahim as the Muslims say, because you have shown to me your commitment and your belief and your trust in me. And so an animal nearby was offered on the altar of sacrifice. And it is this sacrifice that is celebrated and is remembered through Eid al-Adha. It is also celebrated around the time of Hajj, Your Worship. As our esteemed Minister of Rural Development and Local Government is known as Haji Kazim Hussein, Your Worship, because he did go on Hajj at this time as well. Having said all of that, Your Worship, I take this opportunity on your behalf and the rest of the Council to bring greetings to our Muslim brothers and sisters on the important and religious celebration of Eid al-Adha, and may the Divine Lord bless each and every one of them and each and every one of us in Trinidad and Tobago with hope, faith, and good cheer.
Assalamu alaikum. Members, I overheard a conversation where someone said that God made me a San Fernandian, as our city once again escaped misfortune from the earthquake that occurred last Tuesday. Most of our buildings were spared any structural damage, as there were no injuries from the event. One report exists of damage to the Trinrico building on Coffee Street, which seemed primarily cosmetic. However, our engineering department visited to look at structural damage, if any at all, and stand by to lend assistance if and when necessary. As we bring the July-August vacation period to a close, I would like to wish all students who are getting ready to begin the new term good luck. Over the duration of this administration, the members of council and myself have embarked on a major campaign to ease the levels of traffic congestion. In this regard, I am making a special appeal to the parents and designated drivers who would be picking up and dropping off school children to please refrain from parking indiscriminately and adhere to the traffic rules and guidelines. Although we can report that the many changes and consequent adjustment over this period has led to a drastic decrease in congestion, as such, we are making this special appeal for your cooperation. With this in mind, I wish to advise all drivers to be cognizant of the fact that with the new school term, there will be an increase in traffic in the areas of the city where we have a concentration of schools. We all know that the end of August brings with it the celebration of our independence. Therefore, in the spirit of celebration, I would like to thank Ansa Makal for once more ensuring that San Fernando is not left out by sponsoring the fireworks on San Fernando Hill from 8 to 8:30 p.m. on the 31st of August. And I will also like to make a special appeal to the public and advise them that safety will there'll be no access to the San Fernando Hill, and they should seek alternative vantage points at other locations around the city. What we experienced last year is that persons went to San Fernando Hill, but they hoped that they could have go up the hill to look to view the fireworks in the interest of safety, and advised by the fire service you are not to do that, and people need to assemble around the city at, I would suggest, maybe on the Harris Promenade and maybe on the bypass as they usually do to look at it. In my conversation with Ansa Makal yesterday, they are experimenting with some entertainment in Port of Spain this year, where there'll be a concert at the paddock before the event. And they give us the assurance that if this works, they will be able to do the same in San Fernando next year. So we can look at, in our planning process, look at having entertainment on the bandstand before the event. Answer McCall is saying that is very costly, and they're experimenting, and we'll look at the success rate of it this year, and if it works, they will certainly be prepared to support San Fernando with a cultural event next year. Our Independence watchwords, discipline, production, and tolerance, is more relevant today than they were in 1962. No more than ever, Trinidad and Tobago needs that reinvigoration of nationalistic pride to guide our thoughts, words, and deeds. Our independence has ensured that these factors now lie in our hands. I am happy to report that San Fernando City Corporation, in collaboration with the Ministry of National Security, will be engaging our NGOs, faith-based organizations, community groups, and citizens to participate in the initial phases of a national crime prevention strategy. The official launch of this project will be on Thursday, 13th of September at the City Hall Auditorium, where we will host the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Stuart Young, and his team, where this plan will be fully outlined and explained to the public, and I hope councillors will ensure that they really participate in this exercise. Unfortunately, I must report that the recent scuffle between two homeless persons outside of Skinner Park resulted in the death of one. Coupled with the increasing aggression and unruly behavior by these socially displaced persons who assemble on the promenade, their actions are a major cause of concern, as some of the young girls from the nearby schools are constantly harassed on their way to and from school. There are now 85 homeless persons in our city, and the number is growing. A contributing factor are the free meals provided on a daily basis by good-hearted individuals and charitable organizations. As such, I would like to advise these individuals and organizations to contact the Mayor's office, where you will be directed to an environmentally hygienic facility where those in need can assemble in an orderly manner and be fed. The continuous delivery of food on Harris Promenade contributes to trash being left behind and the frequency of stray dogs on the scene. The other matter that has engaged the attention of the Mayor's office is the current state of the Magistrate Court, which was highlighted in last month's statutory meeting. In fact, information coming to hand is mind-boggling. It was found that some time ago, the Eastern Credit Union purchased a property located at 1 to 3 Independence Avenue for a sum of $5.9 million. 3 years later, the Eastern Credit Union sold the said property to the judiciary of Trinidad and Tobago. Since that time, the judiciary has attempted to do substantial renovations to the building to make it more suitable for the usage as a magistrate court. Based on the information that has been divulged, it appears that, and let me repeat this, based on the information that has been divulged, it appears that the last UNC administration may have some explaining to do. Based on the questions that have been put to me by the citizens of San Fernando on a daily basis, I will have to ask the former Attorney General, Mr. Anand Ram Logan, to share any knowledge he may have on the situation, as several decisions made under their watch between 2010 and 2015 may well be responsible for the sorry state of affairs relating to the San Fernando Magistrate Court. I am certain that the current AG is not aware of the dynamics here. With this, I would like to close and wish each of you a happy Independence Day. May we all reflect upon it and discern the potential that lies in the responsibility of this status as citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you. Producing two pictures of this building that is lying, languishing on Independence Avenue, that was purchased way back when, the Magistrate Court. Had they pursued this, we will not be in the situation that we're in today. And that building is across there and very well cost the corporation or the state over $50 million. I rest my case for this.